Nebraska fans, let's sit down and have a truthful and honest conversation. What in the world is going on with our defensive line, and can it be fixed? They're coming after one of the worst single-game D-line performances we've seen in the past decade for the Huskers. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get to the quarterback. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a full breakdown of this problem. Can it be fixed at all? Who are some players who need to step up? Who are some players who maybe need to be benched? My expectations for the rest of the season. Could this derail the entire year for the Big Red? And so much more. So really quick, this is a very truthful video talking about our defensive line. Hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan, if you love this team, and if you love daily content talking about your favorite team, and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? This is the only place you can get daily content talking Huskers this season. It's a no-brainer. Take 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. We have a lot to talk about. Nebraska's defensive line, let's call it what it is. They put up one of the worst single-game performances we've seen in the past decade versus Cincinnati. The reason why Cincinnati put up 17 points, the reason why they were even competitive, it wasn't because of our offense. It wasn't because of our secondary, our linebacker core. It was purely because of our defensive line. And I told you guys all fall practice. We heard from Matt Rule multiple times. We heard from multiple coaches that his defensive line is going to be hell on wheels. It's going to be phenomenal. I told you guys, that's not going to be the case, because what I was hearing from fall practice every single day is that this defensive line was getting pushed around, that our interior wasn't good enough, that we lacked a lot of talent there. And guess what happened versus Cincinnati? It was exactly that. So that's why I preach, when these coaches are telling you things, you got to kind of read in between the lines, because they're going to have some coach talk here and there. They're going to lie a little bit because they want to hype up their guys. But our defensive line, this wasn't a bold prediction. They struggled in spring ball. They struggled in fall ball. So for that reason, it wasn't too shocking that they struggled versus Cincinnati. I mean, let's get to the big issues right off the bat. Okay, the first huge issue with this defensive line is they can't stop the run at all. They can't stop a nosebleed. Cincinnati ran all over us, and they don't even have a great running game. Like, their offensive line, I'll give it credit. I think it's pretty solid. Tally Walker is a very solid running back, but if you think he's good, wait till you see what we have on the rest of our schedule. When we play Nick Singleton at Penn State, when we play Justice Haynes at Michigan. Okay, we are playing some borderline top 10 future first-round NFL pick running backs. Okay, they're going to run all over us again. Okay, you go to Cincinnati, they averaged 7 yards a carry. All of their running backs did. Their quarterback ran all over us. He had about 100 yards on the ground. Okay, if they continue to run the football throughout it, like they tried to pass multiple times, they had no success. If they just stuck to running the football, they probably would have beat us. Okay, if you can't stop the run in the Big Ten, you just can't do anything. So that was the big issue. But again, you go to the pass rush as well. It wasn't any better. We got 0 sacks versus Cincinnati. The only time we brought Sorsby down was when he basically stepped up in the pocket, was trying to scramble. We got him down near the line of scrimmage. Like, we just had no pressure. The only guy who could get to the quarterback against Cincinnati was actually Williams-Winery, who was one of the biggest X factors of the entire team. He actually played good, but nobody else did. Like, Elijah Jeudy was awful. I was watching Cincinnati tape, and I just want you to rewatch that game and then watch our defensive line. Don't watch anything else. Watch our defensive line and watch Elijah Jeudy. Elijah Jeudy, literally every single snap, got pushed back 5 to 10 yards. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. But it wasn't only him. It was Ryven Popple. He was Cameron Lenhart at times. Okay, so we couldn't get to the quarterback at all. So that's a huge issue. I mean, our defensive lines couldn't do anything. So let's talk about what the issue is and whether or not it can it be fixed. The first issue with our defensive line, I mean, this is just basic. They're not big enough from a weight standpoint. And this is what I don't understand. And feel free to comment down below your thoughts on this. All of the defensive linemen on Nebraska's team this year, in the offseason, they said their focus was losing weight. Okay, Elijah Jeudy, who is a 0 technique, he is a nose tackle, said he was losing weight this offseason. He started at about 310 pounds. As we speak, he is 295 pounds. Our nose tackle should not be 295 pounds. That is incredibly small. Okay. Last year, Nash Huntmaker was 310. Okay. The year before, when Nash actually had his best year of his career, he was 330. That's what a nose tackle should be. They should be big. They should be bruising. You should not have a nose tackle who's only 290. Okay. And it's the same way across this defensive line. Okay. Your 3 techniques, they should be around 300 pounds. Your 5 techniques should be around 280 pounds. And it feels like pretty much every single player on this defensive line is undersized or not big enough. They don't weigh enough. So that falls on the coaching staff. For whatever reason, when Terry Bradden got here, he instructed all the players to lose weight. Okay. That maybe can work in the NFL. When in the NFL is all about, finesse and power. Great. But in college football, it's a different story. It's all about how much you weigh literally, and it's all about directly having power through that. Okay. So, I mean, Terry Bradden right off the bat, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on him, but when you're a positional coach, half of your job is recruiting. And Terry Bradden can't recruit. Like, he missed out on all of the targets we were going after, like the top 5 guys he didn't get. So he can't recruit, but that's okay. Can you at least develop? Well, we don't know about that either. Can you at least game plan? Well, yeah, definitely can't do that. Like, what is Terry Bradden doing? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Again, it's only week 1, but man, what a bad debut for a guy who's taken after Terrence Knight, who's one of the best defensive line coaches in the business. So again, this defensive line's way too small. And also, frankly, I just think they're really young. And I'll tell you this, I do think this is a good part about our defensive line. We have talent. So the people who say we're not talented enough, I do believe you're wrong. Okay, Williams Neri is talented. He's a 5-star, right? There's a reason why he's a 5-star. You saw it versus Cincinnati. I do think Keona Davis is talented enough. I think, again, Van Poppel's talented enough. Cameron Lenhart, like, we got talent. We got dudes who do have potentials. The problem with the talent is that these guys are young and inexperienced. Okay. And the reason why I think this is a massive issue for Nebraska is it's going to probably get better as the year progresses. And I do think our defensive line is probably going to be decent versus Iowa, like week 14. But it's going to be a learning curve the entire year. So my question is, why didn't Nebraska bring in more defensive line transfers? Why didn't they bring in more proven defensive line transfers? And you go back to my videos in December and January, I was screaming for this. Like, Neri's cool, but Jalen George, like, he's a fine player, but he was playing FCS football. You brought in Gabe Moore, who's never played a snap in his life, and that was it. You called it good. Why did Nebraska, again, we lost our 3 starters last year, Jamari, Nash, and Ty. Why did they think it was acceptable to bring in a raw 5-star, an FCS player, and a guy who's never played before, and I think it was just going to be fine on the defensive line? That was my big question there. Like, why did Nebraska go all in on these wide receivers, which is cool, but they couldn't afford to pay top dollar for defensive linemen? Okay, that falls on the coaching staff. And it's also kind of a big issue. They didn't do that at running back either, which we'll talk about in a later video. So listen, I do think we're talented enough. The problem is we're young. So it's going to take time for them to develop as the year progresses. So, talking about what we need to do going forward. Okay, number 1, we need to focus on the interior defensive line. Because I honestly, when I was rewatching Cincinnati, I don't think the exterior is a problem. I think Neri is going to be fine. Keona's going to be fine long term. All of the exterior is fine. The 5 techs are fine. I'm looking at the 0 techniques. I'm looking at the interior, the nose tackle, D tackles. Okay, Elijah Judy, Van Poppel, Sulafodu, who can step up? Because Elijah Judy was awful. I mean, he was borderline unplayable. Okay, Riley Van Poppel was the exact same way. With all the talk around those 2 guys all offseason, for them to put up all-time stinking performances, like, we got to have a conversation there. What do? We don't have too many other options. Can you put in Sulafodu? So I do believe that exterior will be fine, but the interior is pretty much where you win or lose football games. And if you don't have a strong interior, they're going to be running through the A-gap every single ball game, with Justice Hayes, with Nick Singleton, with Katron Allen, all these running backs in the Big Ten, and they're just going to annihilate you. Okay, we got to figure out the interior first. So that's number 1. Number 2, I mean, let's see some of these younger guys, especially versus Akron, but also versus Fusion Christian. I want to see Cade Petschak. I want to see Sulafodu. I want to see David Hoofkin. Again, Mason Goldman, Ashton Murphy. I don't care. I need to see anybody. New faces, okay? Because at this point, you really can't do much worse. Okay, so give some of these young guys reps, opportunities, see what they can do, okay? Because we need to build out this depth, really. So let's see some of the young guys. Number 3, I just need Terry Bradden to prove himself. Okay, he has big shoes to fill with Terrence Knight. He didn't really inherit a great situation. Everybody transferred out, but really, he still had some guys like Cameron Leonard's fine. Brian Pepple's fine. You had an opportunity to get transfers. Listen, you at the Chiefs, you had a great defensive line. You talked a big game. You got to prove it now. You got to prove it. Okay, you got to prove you can develop. Okay, this is where you're getting paid. This is what you're getting paid to do. Okay, fix the defensive line. And number 4, last final thing, how we fix the defensive line. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't think can be fixed in 1 year, but if we can't get to the quarterback consistently, which is I think is going to continue to be a problem, we got to blitz. We just got to blitz. And I'm looking at that from John Butler, right? We need to be more aggressive all the way around. Luckily, our secondary is talented enough where you can feel comfortable only putting 5 or 6 guys in coverage and blitzing the rest. So it's not that big of an issue. But again, you gotta blitz that pressure because really we can't get pressure with only 3 or 4 guys. We just can't. Like, it's not talented enough, or I shouldn't say it's not talented enough. It's not developed enough at this point. Okay. So we got to be more aggressive from a blitzing standpoint. So, I mean, just having a conversation at the end, what we need to do going forward, will this derail our entire season? I think it very well could. Very well could. Okay. Because we can stop the run right now. I mean, that's really it. We can't stop the run, but also we can't even get to the quarterback. It doesn't even matter how good our secondary is. Okay, our secondary right now is turning out to be one of the best we've seen in the past decade for the Huskers. Okay, this is an elite secondary, but they're doing such a massive disservice to that unit because if the quarterback is all day in the pocket, if he has 5 seconds, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. You could have literally Deion Sanders back there, and a guy is still inevitably going to get open if the quarterback has all day. Okay. Whereas you could have a bad secondary and an elite defensive line, and that's going to be a lot better for you because the defensive line is going to get the quarterback in a split second. Even if a guy's wide open, he can't get the ball out because the D-line's right in his face. Okay, I would much rather have a stronger defensive line than secondary. Unfortunately, we have the opposite. So the defensive line needs to step up. Okay, so listen, I told you guys to begin the season, our defense would define our year. I'm going to be more specific. Our defensive line will now define our year. Okay, and this falls on Matt Rule. Okay, Matt Rule decided that, okay, I'm not going to take many players from the portal, and I'm going to take some unproven guys from the portal. I'm not going to pay top dollar for a guy. Okay, that was his decision. So for that reason, he got to put his money where his mouth is. Okay, he believes in some of these younger guys. Prove it. Prove it. Because our defensive line, I'll tell you this right now, if it continues to perform like it did versus Cincinnati, we are only going to win 6 games. Okay, and you can already scratch off Michigan as a win because that's not going to happen. Or you can scratch off even the USC as a win. Okay, because those teams are going to run all over us. Fix it. We got to fix it. And it starts with putting new guys out there, getting their heads in practice. Terry Bradden, get back in the lab. And again, I need some of these. I'm hoping some of these players are watching this video are inspired because we can't have that again. Just can't. Okay, it's a big issue. It's not a question. It's an issue. It's a problem. And it literally, you got to win the trenches in this conference. It could ruin our entire season. It's looking very promising. Our season's promising. Okay, if you just figured out this one issue, we could still make the playoffs. If this defensive line overnight goes from what it was versus Cincinnati, if it can become at least serviceable, we are still a legit chance to make the playoffs. But if it continues to do what it does, oh man, we're screwed from the very beginning. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. How do we fix the defensive line? I want to hear your thoughts. Take 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Let me know down below. Hey, if you made this far, hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be great, comment, roll, and I will see you in the next one.